Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comedian and host of Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review. Is my dog joining me? Hey, my dog's joining me. This is Boone the Basset Hound. Today's Bachelorette premiere day, yay! In this video, I'm going to air a clip from my podcast, The SAP, with my fiance Tasha, Courtney, and myself. We talk about the premiere of The Bachelorette, and we also talk about the Colton Underwood case. Let me do this. Because you guys have been such good supporters, we're going to leave a little treat there for the doggy. There it is. Okay. You watch the videos, I give the dog treats. Let's make this Basset Hound fat. You guys have been so supportive, so thank you guys so much for that. In today's video, click the link in the description to the time code, and you can jump straight to whatever table of contents section you want. We start talking about The Bachelorette, how it's a little different this year, what to expect, and all that. And then we talk about Colton Underwood. Not really many updates. We just kind of hypothesize about what's going to happen at the next trial, as it's been pushed back a month. The restraining order hearing is pushed back to November 6th. And of course, now that there is a police file being made, I wanted to talk to a few of my lawyer friends. So next week, I'm going to talk to a lawyer, a friend of mine, and see kind of what exactly is going to happen. Should Colton admit guilt? Should he fight this thing? You know, because of the tracking device, Cassie has an actual restraining order against him and also a police report. So now there's a potential criminal investigation and all that jazz. You guys are all caught up on that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, what will happen. My guess, 100 hours community service if he admits guilt and no jail time. He could get up to 364 days, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I also think they shouldn't not prosecute him because, God forbid, his actions don't change. There could be some serious problems for either Cassie or someone else in the future. So nip it in the bud. Check out this podcast clip. And if you want my Bachelorette recaps, I'm doing all season. This will be my 5th year doing it. And I'll be airing those at 8 a.m. Pacific time every Wednesday morning, the morning after The Bachelorette. And then on Fridays, I'm going to be live streaming. So what I need you guys to do, this is all new to me, but you've been really supportive, so I'm going to start live streaming as well. What I need you guys to do is hit the alert button so you get sent the notification as soon as the episode airs. It helps the algorithm. You leave a comment, hit the like buttons and all that jazz. Make sure to subscribe. Sometimes the recaps don't show up in your potential recommendations folders, so hit the alert button. It helps all of us out. And enjoy my chat with Tasha on the SAP. Tuesday, Bachelorette starts.
Woohoo!
So we're back on the Bachelorette. This is going to be the first Bachelor season during the pandemic. So when the pandemic started was right when they were supposed to, I think, start filming this season. That got pushed back. You know, they were like, they got 25 dudes. They're all screened for HPV and herpes. Not HPV. They're not screened for that. But they all do take these STD tests before they can be on the show. But of course, no one was ready for COVID. So they had to completely stop and I think recast it. Now, so they shot the whole season at like La Quinta, Palm Springs or something at a resort. Normally they float around to like Geneva and, Budapest.
So they're not going to be traveling.
No traveling.
Oh man, that sucks.
It's like jury duty.
This season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big perk of why people go on the show. Like, yes, you get Instagram famous or whatever, but like you get to check like 5 countries off your list.
Well, I like the idea of sequestering them in one location because now it's kind of like Big Brother. Oh man,
no, yeah, it's cabin fever. Everybody's gonna go stir crazy.
I want GoPros in the camera, in the portraits. I want like a vase to have a mic in it, and you'd think I want every inch of this place covered. And you know what I would love? I would love if Chris Harrison did this, if he set up like safe rooms where like, look, there'll be no camera guys in there, but he knows full well they've got like, the whole place bugged just to really get people, because they're all polished. They kind of know for the most part, not to, they talk trash and drama starts, but what happens is you get a season where you've got a Bachelorette, her name's Claire, she's been on past seasons and, the Winter Games, she's kind of ran the whole gamut, she's done the Bachelor in Paradise, whatever, some of those things, and then now she's 39. So while she might not be old in the, David Attenborough way of measuring old, she's the oldest.
After the past few seasons of seeing a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Yeah, you get these girls like McKenna, 21, who like is just blogging and complete like the hormones that these young women have. I'm not saying Claire's not going to come out with her own, y'all don't, and we'll get into the men, we've got our own rage issues and all these other issues, but y'all women have hormones you bring into this thing. I mean, it's like ramped up. You're not arguing with me. You're not.
I'm just saying, like, we have people like Chad and whoever else, like all these roid rage dudes.
Roid rage, PTSD.
I would say, I mean, I don't know. I guess we would have to ask like one of your friends who actually like works on the show, but I'm sure that the men's seasons are just as drama filled as the women's.
My buddy Leo, who did the podcast, he was the Bachelor villain du jour, and he's a relatively jovial guy. You might think he's a douchebag or whatever, but next thing you know, he's drinking on a beach and he's fighting one of the guys. It's like, what would I be? And that's what we have to ask ourselves. Every psychologist you talk to, and I've listened to like evolutionary biologists, they always say like, look, and this might sound heavy, but they go, look, we all possess the same ability to do what happened in Germany. We all have the ability to do something awful. And
like sizzling a fly with a fly swatter.
Exactly. So we had a fly outbreak, a little bit of a fly outbreak. Tasha comes in, I don't have him with me, with 2 tennis rackets that are just voltage. Like these things have built-in batteries, and she kills. And I'm in the other room, and I go, "Hey, babe, did you just kill like 19 flies?" And she's like, "No, 1. You held the fly in." To the racket.
Sometimes they like bounce back. It's like they got defibrillated.
Is it over there? Can you go grab it?
No, come on, no. That's not.
I want it. So it's.
But it's true that like I'm very much a normal, even keel person. I'm always polite. I'm well behaved in a work situation, which I imagine is what like being on The Bachelor or Bachelorette would feel like. Kind of like a work situation. You're putting your best face forward. You're on camera. You're gonna be chill. Someone's going to snub you and you're just going to roll with it, right?
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I imagine myself like getting out of the car, like when someone's being a bad driver. I imagine myself like just getting out and kicking their tire or something. I don't know.
But on the show, you can't,
I'm just saying like, I consider myself a very even keel person.
I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I think you're right that we all kind of like, we're all just this close to a snap.
But see, you're the counter dependent type. So you wouldn't call someone out. You would just end them with your eyes. You would just look at them and be like, I'm never going to talk to this person again. So I don't know if you would make for great drama, but you would be the one that other girls would be jealous about because you would walk in like not even trying. And literally, I mean, you're beautiful. You wake up,
Thanks,
you look
babe.
beautiful. I wake up just like, like crow's feet. And you wake up and you're just like, I'm just like not feeling it today. And it's like that head is just flowing. And I feel like some women would look at you as the threat because you would just like be yourself and say something like, whatever, have fun. And
thanks for these compliments. I'm really digging.
I like that we can talk
Thank
about
you.
hypotheticals as we're engaged here, but
our future Bachelor and Bachelorette.
You're getting too old if I leave you or if I get struck down. You're getting too old to go on the show, but you still have.
Is that your strategy? You're just dragging it out. Now we've got a pandemic. We're literally going to not be married.
Well, thanks to Claire, you would now be a young buck. You're a young buck out there. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't want to spoil the show too far. I think everyone knows what happens, but I don't. Apparently, she might meet a guy early on, and they have to replace. You know what I mean? They might have to get a new.
That's what we've heard.
We've heard this. We don't know, but she might have to meet. And imagine if you meet a guy and it's like second episode and you're like, "No, I'm good." It's like Claire's like, "I'm 39. I'm not waiting 12 episodes to propose. Call Neal Lane, bring him in. I'm gonna go have kids. I got 3 ovaries left. How does that work?
3 ovaries,
eggs, whatever." I'm not part of it. You tell me. She's got a couple ovaries. They're on the shot clock's running. It's time to shoot your shot, ladies. So she's out there. The biological clock's ticking. She finds a guy. She's like, I'm done. Then Chris Harrison's got to be like, can I Postmates? And luckily, no one's doing anything. He literally can choose any past contestant, and she's be like, ready. Everyone's got their bags packed, ready to go. So they bring it. It might be a multi.
Do you think that this is really what happened, or do you think? Because I feel like Bachelorette, they put out their own like rumors. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
to put people off the path.
But here's the thing, because they're shooting at one resort, there's no like going to Bangladesh, on your, episode 9 and hiding it. It's all in Palm Springs, 2 hours that way. So they knew, like, this stuff was leaked months ago. These people are obsessed. So I've been following it, and I never follow the different levels of drama. But as some people know, I've been following the Colton Underwood drama. So while we've got the Bachelorette season about to launch on Tuesday, I'll be doing the recaps. I do every single recap there. And this year I'm going to be doing live comment reading after the recaps. I'm going to be doubling up on my episodes. It's a quarantine. I'm unemployed. Leave me some slack. Watch the ads. Don't skip the ads, please. So I make a video about the Colton Underwood situation like a month ago because he was called out by TMZ that Cassie Randolph broke up with him. He was the Bachelor from a few seasons ago. She broke, or maybe the last one. I don't know. No, Peter Weber was after him. So Cassie Randolph was dating him, not engaged. She broke up with him, and then she got a restraining order against him because she found a device that was tracking her every movement. And I found out due to a penal code in California, I know my penal codes now, that you cannot track somebody else's car unless you own their car. So unless it's like one of your employees and it's your car, you can't track them. So because of that, she got a temporary restraining order. Judge granted it October 5th or 6th, this past week. She was supposed to go to court. Now, the night before the hearing, where basically she's going to show the evidence that he was tracking her. He was stalking her in her driveway at 2 a.m., texting her friends. He made up a fake phone number to text people. I mean, the no-brainer psychotic stuff. The night before the restraining order hearing, she files a police report against Colton, because before when it's a different sort of jurisdiction, it's a different matter if it's a police report. So because
like a criminal,
right? Like you can get a restraining order against someone who hasn't done something illegal. Like it's not illegal to be in a alleyway at 2 a.m., but you should still get a restraining order. You know what I mean? So nothing really too illegal was, none of the other things that were happening were illegal. Like it's not illegal to make a fake phone number and text people, and it's just weird, At some point it does become a threat, which I guess is illegal, but the tracking device is like
it's harassment.
Right. The tracking device was like a clear illegal thing that happened. So we talk about it on the podcast because we talk about relationships, dating. We've all had these experiences where we've dealt with domestic violence in one way or another. Like I've mentioned, my dad was sort of abusive in a way that my mom left him when she was pregnant with me. So it's been in my sort of conscious thought my whole life that I have a father who has since passed away, but post-traumatic stress disorder, didn't know how to deal with his anger, manipulation, just, these are the things that existed. But with that, my dad, very charming, very likable guy. You would like him a lot if you met him. But when it's the object of your affection you don't want to lose, you strangle your pet hamster because you don't want to let it play, and then you kill. Like that's what obsessiveness is. It's if I can't have it, nobody can. And so she files the police report the night before the court hearing. So of course, what I thought would happen was that the lawyer showed up to the court hearing in Los Angeles Superior Court. Yeah, that's what it's called, right? Whatever it is. And they delayed it for another month because they didn't want Colton to show up and basically incriminate himself in two different settings. So they have more stuff they need to get together before they can come together. But right now, I mean, there's a temporary restraining order against him. He can't buy a firearm. He can't be within 100 yards of her. I mean, it's some pretty heavy stuff. And we're talking about it because these are people that exist. They're humans. And they're also like in the public eye. So I'd make a video, and next thing you know, it's got 3 million watch minutes this month, which is insane. And I don't say that to brag. I say it because there's a market of people that want to talk about their domestic violence situations.
Well, I think a lot of women know just how common it is. And I don't necessarily think that guys know just how common it is.
So you're right that like for me and I got a comment from someone saying, I couldn't believe, I had my mustache. I forgot I had this mustache I grew. So someone goes, I did not think I would actually respect the opinion of this mustachioed man. And I was like, I didn't even realize that was a thing that like, maybe I looked like I'd be like, no, man, she was asking for it. But it's like most people, want others to feel safe, and they just don't understand. Like a lot of guys, I had a stand-up bit about how the closest I've ever been to being catcalled is when I wear a Patriots hat on, and people are like, "You think Brady's going to do it this year?" Like only time people yell at me is if I have my Red Sox hat on. Like I don't, like as a guy, I don't get hit on all the time. I don't get talked to in weird situations
You're not
or
like
looked up and down.
Constantly being bombarded by sexual advances.
Right. So it has to be like an interpersonal like conversation. Like the last time we talked about this on the podcast, you shared your story of your personal time dealing with that violence, and it's humbling to hear. But like men have the ability to overpower most women. Most men can overpower most women physically. They can, and a lot of times if the man's the one working the job and the wife or the girlfriend's at home or taking care of the kid, they can hold the money over them. There's a lot of scenarios in which you'll use whatever you can to manipulate the other, and it's not a good look. And I guess it hasn't been talked about enough. It was one of those things you almost take for granted. We've done the podcast for 5 years. We talk about this stuff all the time, and then I post a video. It does well, and people go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe no one's talking about this." And I go, I thought we've all been talking about this.
I don't know. Well, like I said, I think a lot of women understand how widespread this stuff is, but maybe there is a level of shame associated with being on the receiving end of that sort of treatment. Like, it's something that like you might talk about with a close friend or two, but it's not something that you're going to be broadcasting on a platform that you've been like a victim of intimate partner violence. Like,
and what is that? Is that the feeling like you were responsible for choosing this type of partner? The shame is always when you take a personal sort of
I don't know what it is.
Ownership over it, which you shouldn't.
Or embarrassment. I think it's just like sometimes I think.
What could I be thinking that I stuck with that guy?
For me personally, it's like, why did I put up with this for so long? Why did I wait so long to ask for help? Why did it's like you kind of are like retracing your steps thinking, man, I should have seen this coming. I missed so many red flags.
And look, I don't take any credit for this conversation happening, but 3 million watch minutes is a lot of people watching, and I would estimate that just as many minutes were spent by people typing out their story. I'm talking like I'll open my comment section and then it's just a story and it's like, oh boy, this is like heavy. But in every single time it's women, they're empowered by sharing their story and realizing they're not alone. And it's almost like, again, not in any way, this isn't what I want to be talking about really, but it's there. We've all dealt with it. And the fact that they needed a mustachioed man to be like the guy who's like, maybe just, it's one thing with a bunch of women talk about it, but maybe it's another thing if a guy's like, no, there's issues. Like men, we've got to own up to like letting love go and learning how to communicate in ways. And I don't want to get into the whole, like, while we were raised a certain way, it's like, we are who we are today. We need to move forward in a way that we can just talk about it. I would love it if any of my buddies had obsessive thoughts about their girlfriend leaving them and they pinned her against the wall. I would love for it to, you know what I mean? No, like if this is happening, guys want to know about it to be like, bro, look, man, like let's take you on board. Like I always use Colton as the example because I'm like, look, why doesn't he not have the buddies that take him out camping and be like, dude, this isn't healthy. You need to get more hobbies. And we talked in the videos about
move on from this relationship.
Purity
she's not
culture.
into it anymore.
Yeah,
let it go.
Like, what are you trying to prove by tracking her? Finding out that if you like, even by Googling or even once you go on Amazon to look for the tracking device, it's over. It's too far. You're thinking about a tracking device. The trust is gone. It's too far. So you don't need the sort of like conclusion to the story. It ends there. You don't trust her for whatever reason. Maybe she thinks you're needy for whatever reason. You got to move on. But the fact that this like didn't burn off, and then it was reported from like sources, so take it for what it's worth. It was reported that like he still thinks he can win her back. So it's like, what? I mean, at this point, it's full no contact. My lawyer's going to talk to your lawyer, and now because there's a criminal case potentially. So what has to happen is it filed a police report. It gets brought up the chain for the attorney general or whoever it is that prosecutes it. The prosecutor has to decide if there's a case there. Now, you look at the serial number of the tracking device, and if it's bought by Colton or somebody in Colton's circle, you got a case there. Now, can you prove that Colton was the one to put it on? I mean, it's like, come on. They obviously don't want to prosecute a case unless they can win it. But to save everyone their time and money, I'm just surprised he hasn't just admitted to it. Do the time, whatever it is. You're better. Like, Colton would be better off admitting he put the tracker on, assuming he did, versus having to find out the hard way. And then literally start a podcast and talk about it, Colton. Talk about your pain. Talk about all you are feeling. Interview other people that have been through obsession. Call it obsession. Call it whatever you want to call it. Call it whatever. But it's like, if you really want to live a charitable life, he has a charity, right? If you want to be charitable, share your story about how you've suffered this way. You're not alone. It's toxic love addiction. It could be, who knows.
And not everybody wants to put their private stuff and their personal stuff on blast, but it's true that
he'll never work again without it.
Well, I guess I was just thinking, there's a real opportunity there for him to see the light, get some therapy, share what he's learned.
People would forgive him, as crazy as it sounds. People would forgive him if you were like, look, I'm not going to lie. Quarantine, my whole life was built around this community that I'm now not a part of. I'm no longer playing football, which I put all my whole identity in. I believe that
people like a redemption story, but they want to see that somebody's actually doing the work,
and no one's heard a thing from him,
to make amends, to do better.
Right, yeah, so it's like people, and like comics, right? Comics are, I surround myself with people that have vile pasts. I mean, real messed up people, but they talk about it. They talk about like who they were, where they've come from. I'm talking about thieves, felons. The comics are no worse than other people. They just talk about it in a way that doesn't have shame. Find something. I mean, I share some really shameful, just embarrassing things on this podcast, but it's like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm owning it. I've never put a tracking device in someone's car, but I've cried myself to sleep, and I've gone weeks without eating. All right, because I was so sad and love addicted. I've gone to Codependence Anonymous meetings trying to find out how to overcome just that horrible feeling. I've never wanted, but I've also had common sense to know when I wasn't being loved. It's like if someone's not showing up to the table and doesn't love you, it's like the book, he's just not that into you. I mean, what other signs do you need? But unfortunately, maybe he's getting bad advice, or I also didn't have to deal with social media where it is now, and I wasn't famous. So I can't imagine those things to the ego. But yeah, so anyway, we should move on from it. But I wanted to give an update for whatever it is. So now, because she's made it a sort of, because I don't mean she's made it like she shouldn't have, now because she decided to pursue police charges by being tracked, because God knows, you might think that's okay at first, but who knows in 3 years if you wake up in the middle of the night because a branch hits your window and you're freaked out. You know what I mean? You don't know what sort of...
Well, that's not cool. It's against the law for a reason, right? These are baby steps that lead up to big steps. And it happens to lots of women where it starts out with something small, something a little bit questionable, just a toe over the line. But that's, people test others about their limits, right? And their boundaries. And she has established boundaries, and she has said no more, not dealing with this, gonna pursue this in the legal channels. And I commend her for it, because it's tough to do.
Yeah.
It's challenging, it's scary, it's embarrassing.
And a lot of people go, well, she let him on because she wanted the fame. Look, whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter what she did, because none of that is part of the discussion.
To be afraid and abused like that. So
yeah.
I am really proud of her for coming forward and
luckily
taking care of herself.
She's got a family, these
a good
men,
support system.
and not just men and women, is her sisters, her dad, her brother. I mean, they set boundaries. Her brother's like, look, I don't, Colton was texting her brother, and the brother's like, look, I just want to make sure you're okay. I saw you in the alley last night. And then Colton tries to complain. The brother goes, look, I just don't think this is my space. He's like a teen, right? So he's done a very good job setting boundaries, and the family seems to actually be quite, intelligent with all of this, and not just some pitchfork grabbing. They're like, look, this needs to be a paper trail. God forbid Colton were to commit a worse crime on somebody.
Yeah, not just her, but another girl in the future. Cassie is not just protecting herself, but she is protecting future women.
There'd be blood on Cassie's hands if in the future Colton escalated his issues, and even worse, like in the sense that married somebody and then the wife just like took it, right? Because for all the people that are like Cassie or like had the support system to get out, there's that sad number that either bad things had to happen or they spent years just stripping away who they were at their core, you know? My mom was a different person before and a different person after my father. That's something, you know, that's heavy. That doesn't just go into my mom, that goes down to me. And it's something that's like, no, this is, you know, shine light in the dark places. It's the greatest disinfectant. We talk about it. So, because I know I get a little bit of nonsense from people going, why do you keep mentioning and talking about it? Because people keep showing up for the conversation. And that's not what I want to be talking about. In the sense where I want to be making jokes about the Bachelorette and the sleeves the guys wore and the too short and the chubby, whatever. I want to make fun of all the weird, irreverent stuff. I want someone to be like, stop body shaming these men. That's where I want to be, making their stupid haircuts, whatever. But instead, we're like talking about this real issue. And if she didn't do the police report, then and now if they don't prosecute it, it's almost like the state of California is almost liable if this guy goes off the rails again, because they have the chance to prosecute something that's like a smoking gun. And again, it's labeled as a misdemeanor, so he can only get up to 364 days in jail. My guess is he admits to it and gets 100 hours of community service. You heard it here first. That's it. Community service. You're going to be stuck on the highway in traffic, and you're going to see this 6'5" white guy with jacked arms picking up. He's a big dude. He played in the practice squad for the Raiders.
He does not look like he's 6'5".
He jumped the fence. Did you see that? He's a big guy.
I would have thought 6'1", maybe.
All right, you made it to the end, so I'm gonna give the dog another treat. There he goes. Oh, that's gross. Sticky fingers. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you for this season recapping The Bachelorette. Bye, everybody.